KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
All I need is one mic.
With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. My big mama used to say that there are 24 hours in a day, 12 hours to mind your business, and 12 hours to leave other folks' business alone. So let's talk about our business, Crenshaw Business. For over 5 years now, the good people of the Crenshaw Corridor have lived in a gated community, but not by choice. Gates, fences, barricades, limited street access, closed lots, and then some. By now, you've heard the stories from the folk who've lived this nightmare. Business owners have lost customers. A charter school lost students. A veterinarian lost clients. Churches have lost members. And still, Procrastination Crenshaw sits unfinished. And when I say sits unfinished, I mean sits unfinished. Nobody was seduced by the Jedi mind trick they tried to play when they ran that headline on the front page of a local black newspaper about the project restarting in weeks. I mean, come see for yourself. The only trucks on Crenshaw are deconstruction trucks. It took a minute, but to her credit, LA Mayor Karen Bass showed up and she's leaning in on getting our parking back. But think about this for just a second. LA is not Chocolate City, and yet we are blessed to have a black mayor and a black city council president. But where is the black city council president? Where is Marquise Harris Dawson? This is his project in his district, but he has been strangely quiet. Did you notice in the recent Los Angeles Times story about Procrastination Crenshaw that neither Marquise Harris Dawson nor Destination Crenshaw had a word to say on the record? The silence was deafening. When people ask me why the silence, all I can say is, good question. As a reminder, the Crenshaw Corridor community sent him a letter, and it laid out real demands: a public timeline, relief for the businesses that have suffered, and an audit. At the moment, the last one matters most, the audit. Here's the thing. The foundation money, the private donations, that's their business. But this project is also funded by city money, state money, and federal money. I refer you back to the front page story in that black newspaper where they all talked about this. Go read it again. In any event, it's your money. And when public money goes into a $100 million project that still sits unfinished, the public has a right to see where every dollar went. Contracts, budgets, payments, schedules. That's not too much to ask. Again, it's your money. Our letter gave Mr. Harris Dawson a deadline, Friday, September 4th, to respond. The clock is ticking, Mr. President. 12 hours to mind the public's business. And this is one of them. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. As always, we welcome your feedback.
How did you want it?
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, 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 oh. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, 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 oh. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, 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 oh. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, 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 oh. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. It's thought-provoking Thursdays, and therefore here on KBLA Talk 1580, we are in conversation with Atiba, the former Deputy Executive Director for the National Black Caucus of State Legislators. He's Strategic Alliance Consultant and President of Party Politics US. He's worked on TV political contribution and contributor for BNC News, The Heat, In the Know with Mo, The Leslie Marshall Show, iHeartRadio, and Government Exec. Atiba, welcome forward to the show.
Jesse, it's great to be with you.
Brother, it's always a pleasure. Our very special guest in this hour is none other than Georgia State Senator Tanya P. Anderson. She's the Honorable Tanya Anderson, President of NOBLE, the National Organization of Black Elected Legislative Women. Senator Anderson represents Georgia's 43rd Senate District, a former Georgia House member, Lithonia City Councilwoman, and Mayor of Lithonia. She also served more than 21 years in the United States Air Force, became the national president of Nobel in 2024, founded in 1985. Nobel Women is a nonpartisan national organization representing 385 plus Black women legislators across 43 states, focused on leadership development, public policy, mentorship, and strengthening the voice of Black women in government. Senator, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Honored to have you. I want to start this off by asking you, and I guess Tiba can chime in right here. Can you share with us your personal journey to leadership?
Well, I am a Southern girl at heart. So my parents, people ask me, how did I get here? So, well, I had Black parents. That's kind of one of the simple things to have to get you to a place of learning and leadership and growth. And then I attended an HBCU, the Alabama State University.
North Carolina A&T State University.
Hey, come on down with the HBCU love.
Virginia State University, baby.
All right, we're having an HBCU convention here today.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Senator, I didn't mean
it's
to cut
okay.
you off.
No, it's time. It's plenty of time for the celebrations for HBCUs now. I never stopped that. And found that as well, let me put a pin there and back up one step. I got ahead of myself because I was excited about the HBCU love. At 8 years old, my parents enrolled me in the NAACP, and I had a leadership and desire and a burning for advocacy and for speaking up and standing up for what is right. And I know my mom got a little nervous. I say this as a joke, but it's probably true. That she had to pray to the Lord and ask him for help on earth as it is in heaven, because I think my leadership abilities were just a little bit more than they had seen out of my other 4 siblings. So I'm the youngest of 5, and then went to Alabama State. And while I was there to pay for college, help me pay for college, I joined the Air Force Reserve. And I wanted the best of both worlds. And that was an addition to the leadership ability between my parents, 8 years old, NAACP, HBCU, the Air Force. By the time I was honestly, as city council and mayor, I was still in the military. It was 1 week in a month and 2 weeks a year. It did what it needed to do for me and paid for 2 degrees. And then when I got to Atlanta with the city council and mayor, I thought, I think I'm done. Brand new seat open, had been drawn, new district drawn, and I ran for state representative, made it to a runoff and won. And then this seat open for state senator. And I found that leading in this space of Black people and leading in the space of equity and justice is my theme that has been for Nobel for the past 4 years. It's something that is necessary and needed. We have to stay with our hands on the plow and moving it in a direction that maintains our rights, our leadership, but at the same time, our personhood. I mean, we are created equal. Whether people want to realize it or not, we are created equal, and we will stand in that space. I say until Jesus comes, because it is how he designed us.
Let me cut you off right there. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. We're in conversation with the Tiba. Senator Tanya P. Anderson is our very special guest. More on KBLA Talk 1580 in just a moment.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Just in case you missed our Procrastination Crenshaw Town Hall.
My name is Asata Umoja. I'm with the Hyde Park Organizational Partnership for Empowerment, which is at the southern end of Crenshaw. And this community has been greatly impacted. As a matter of fact, one of the things that we're most concerned about is just being totally neglected. And what I mean is being excluded from the process. When this project first started, they should have made sure that our organization, since we were most impacted, was in there. So we've been excluded, and we've seen commercial properties be taken for art projects. And we're very concerned about these are spaces that could help build economic growth and development in the community. And what this community needs more of is economic development, not art. I mean, I like art. It's a good thing. But they're putting the cart before the horse, because without a solid economic foundation, what they are calling cultural tourism absolutely has no significance and no meaning. And this community is going under if we don't stop and do something to help build that economic foundation and support the businesses that are the tax base for this community to build the kind of services that we need. And the response from our leadership is totally inadequate.
Holding them accountable. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
Self-destruction. Yeah, it was self-destruction. Self-destruction. Yeah, it was self-destruction.
The KBLA 1580 app puts the realest conversations right in your pocket. Stream live wherever you are in the world. No static. No searching the dial. A crystal clear connection 24/7, exactly when you want it. We recommend that you keep automatic updates enabled. Set it and forget it. So the app stays up to date with store requirements, bug fixes, and new features as we roll them out. Download the KBLA 1580 app today and stay plugged into the conversation everyone's having.
Is reviewing life insurance on your to-do list? Now's the perfect time to add it. A friend recently told me that securing life insurance sooner rather than later can help you lock in lower rates for years to come. So I bumped this up on my list and got it done. I called SelectQuote and couldn't believe how easy and affordable life insurance is. I'm 40 and got a $500,000 policy for $16 a month. My husband's also 40 and his $500,000 policy was only $18 a month. Plus, with SelectQuote's same-day coverage, there was no medical exam required, and we were covered by the time we hung up. Knowing I have this checked off my list feels amazing, but the peace of mind knowing my family is protected feels even better.
Call SelectQuote at 1-800-729-7070. That's 1-800-729-7070. Or go to SelectQuote.com to get your free quote today. That's 1-800-729-7070. Details on example rate at SelectQuote.com.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 15.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. It's Conversations with Atiba right here on Thought Provoking Thursday with Jesse Jackson Jr. That's me. Our very special guest in this hour is Senator Tanya P. Anderson. She is the president of NOBLE, the National Organization of Black Elected Legislative Women. NOBLE Women's Annual Conference will be this September 30th through October 3rd in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, bringing Black women legislators, policy experts, and leaders from across the country together to discuss policy, leadership, and issues affecting their communities. Atiba, thank you for a wonderful guest. You're up, Atiba.
Hey, so Senator Anderson, again, thank you so much for coming on. And you know, the minutes go really fast here. So I wanted to highlight and talk about a few things. One, a few years ago, Adrienne Jones was the speaker in the state of Maryland, and she hosted Noble Women in Fort Washington, Maryland. And you know, the most recent comprehensive racial breakdown that I've seen is from the Center for American Women in Politics at Rutgers University. It shows that as of June 2025, there were 20 Black women who held major state legislative leadership posts. That included like the president pro tem of the Senate, speaker pro tem, majority leader, minority leader, and 6 African-American women who were the top leaders of their legislative chambers. Today, there are 401 African-American women who serve in state legislatures overall, which is 5% of the total of 7,000 plus state legislators in the country. And now there are 6 who are leading chambers, unless something has changed, in Delaware, Maryland, Minnesota, New York, Pennsylvania, and Virginia. Again, this is based on data from 2025. I have a question. The question is, with more than 400 African American women serving in state legislatures across the country, and now with these midterms coming up, only a small fraction are in highest leadership positions. What is and how is Nobel Women positioning and helping African American women to move into these leadership roles?
So great question. One of the things that we have is, and I celebrate these women for their courage and their leadership. But one of the programs that we have is a leadership institute. Once women go through that program, most of them run for office. And if they don't run for office, they work in the space of policy. But what we're doing is, supporting them in their efforts to maintain their leadership and have women who are in those chambers to go through the leadership program and have the ability to tap into other trainings that Nobel has, policy work, and anything that can help with their being in their positions also helps them stay strong. The other thing that we have is for the staff members, because you got to have great staff if you're going to be a great leader. And so for staff members, we give them some type of training during our conference time. And what I'm building is a platform to allow them to tap into and continue to build their leadership skills to be able to be a great asset they need to be for their leader.
And Jesse, I wanted to ask that question to Senator Anderson because I've had the pleasure of attending, I guess it's probably the last 6 or 7 conferences, and it is an incredibly intimate setting and where you have leaders from a few years ago, we had the chief of staff from Pfizer who came and spoke, African American women. So we get a chance to really engage with us in these type of settings. Right now, African American women have lost businesses. They've been attacked in great deal through DOGE, through other things that are going on with this administration. For you right now, what are some of the things that we can be doing to help push more African American women into these leadership positions? You have the Institute. You all are doing the work in terms of that. Because Jesse and I, every week, we're talking about affordability. And right now, women, or especially single moms, are trying to keep food on their tables, trying to pay the rent, pay the mortgage, go to work, go to the grocery store and pay for these things. What is it that collectively, that as a community, that we can be doing to push forward African American women? And I'm going to temper this with, you're right there in Georgia. And I know, based on conversations that I've had, that there is still a huge issue of misogyny within our communities, which in part, and for me, is what led to Kamala Harris perhaps losing. That's my position, losing in 2024. And we were all together with her at her residence with Black Women Lead 3 years ago. So what is it? There's some of the things too that are happening. And then I'm also going to touch upon at some point how Nobel Women got created, because there were men who were not allowing African American women to lead.
So with that loaded question, I'm going to try to hit every point.
Sorry about that.
No, you're fine. We talk all the time, so it's good. One of the things that we do is partner with Win with Black Women. It's a platform, I'm one of the 44,000 hashtag. And we did the work, and we were in the trenches. We had so much opposition, and it is unfortunate that our natural being is to be strong and to be courageous and to be bold and beautiful, and that gets attacked just because. So I think a lot of it was the opposite side with the rhetoric of, we can't have a woman, we don't need a woman. We did the work, and we supported it, we funded it. And with Nobel Women, we as state legislators were on the front. A lot of us were on the front lines. It just the opposition was just greater, but it doesn't stop us, because now we are in a place where, in Georgia especially, where we are about to get a Black woman governor, just like we just got Angie Nixon in Florida, my home state of Florida. And it's a contagious thing. So the affordability of it, And I'm having a conversation at the conference around paid, then laid off, now owning the business. So we're moving into the space to provide tools and encouragement and tools and resources to help these women, and not per se from the organization, but from individuals in the organization and those who attend our conferences, to provide resources for affordability. The housing conversation is coming up. The land conversation is coming up, economic development. All those conversations are coming to the table to be able to help our Black women and families, not just women, but families. We advocate for families, for economic development, and for the livelihood and affordability of access to healthcare and to jobs. So one of the things that with this partnership with Win with Black Women, we have a job board. There is a link that shows who's hiring. And we will incorporate that in our conversation and for resources for women, so that we're not left out. And now it seems like it's an attack on Black men with one of the major telephone companies, and I shouldn't call it telephone company, but wireless companies laying off Black men. And so they are attacking or trying to attack us in ways that we've never seen. When I want to say we've never seen it before, it's probably happened before, but we've never seen it. So that we are making sure that we are a resource for our community.
Madam President, let me raise a question. And first of all, once again, appreciate your leadership and for your being on our show.
Sure.
The Black community is actually very fortunate at this hour to have a double threat. And by a double threat, I'm not discussing male leadership over female leadership. That is a conversation.
It doesn't matter to us. Yeah.
It isn't going anywhere. It's a conversation that's not going anywhere. The fact that some may be intimidated by Black men running for office and hence vote against us and find solace in the space of clear Black women is a benefit to our community, not a problem for our community. So kudos to all of the Black elected women in this country and the progress that they're making at this difficult hour. No doubt about it.
No doubt.
When we think about issues of affordability, we think about healthcare, we think about jobs, education, voting and representation, Robinson versus Calais, the elimination of congressional districts, which works their way all the way down to state representative districts and state senatorial districts. The consequences of what we're looking at as a people are nothing less, Madam President, than extraordinary. So I know at the Nobel Conference that you guys are going to be dealing with the overt and the covert attack and the desire to pit Black men against Black women as Black women, our double threat, our secret threat, begin to make progress politically, socially, culturally, etc. So the attack is on Black women, but it's also on us. It's a universal thing because of who we are. My question for you is, for a new generation of young people, how do you, if you will, baptize them in the history of what makes sense at this hour, as opposed to anything light or flighty that might be perceived as not appropriate for addressing the substance of the hour? Madam President.
So that is a great question. And I get that a lot just by being a Black woman elected. And I think, well, my approach has been to make it relevant as possible. It's an education opportunity. It's an opportunity because we may have missed a generation. Everybody's parents didn't have them enrolled at 8 years old in the NAACP. Everybody isn't a legacy of a civil rights leader. Absolutely,
That's
sir.
Right. That's
And
right.
I mean, just a long history of it. But everybody didn't do that. And so it is incumbent upon us, and I take the responsibility to reach back and pull these young people into a space that says, hey, be a page at the Capitol. Let's start there. Let's start there with showing you how policy impacts your life from the time you wake up until the time you leave. Let's talk about the fact that maybe your parents can afford it, but let's talk about someone whose parents your classmate who can't. The policy takes effect in everything that we do. And so when we break it down and say, be a page at the Capitol or be an intern, and I used to be one of the former chairs of the Georgia Legislative Black Caucus. Here in Atlanta, we recruit from the AU Center, from HBCUs. We're not we don't discriminate, but we have a priority that says we're going there first. And once we fill that space, then we're going to go to the other PWIs or the PBIs, and still we're going to go to the Black Student Union and grab these young people because they may have never had an opportunity or access to it. Then we give them an opportunity to present a policy, or one that I presented, the Crown Act. Let's work on the Crown Act. Let's work on a policy, because this is going to be me not in this space forever. Dr. Jackson Jr. is not going to be in this space forever. Atiba not going to be in this space forever. We have to now say, it is incumbent upon you, and I am depending on you like you're depending on me now, to make sure that we are not missing the history of where we've come from and where we need to go. When I was in the House, I sat next to Representative Tyrone Brooks, 2 seats over from him. What other better way to get, stay close to history than to have those around us? So I take the liberty of bringing those young people into the space and then giving them the opportunity to work on policy, to have them that now I need you to go explain this to your friends and your classmates and to your community, at your church, in the streets, in the mall, wherever you are.
Madam President, thank you for giving our young people that exposure. Atiba, we have about 2 minutes before we come forward.
Yeah, just, what role do you see right now that African-American women leaders play in getting families and communities engaged into the polls?
Wow. I do know that this last primary election made it evident to people that there was an attack, or is an attack, on our voting rights. And I do believe that was the energy and the synergy and the electrifying point of getting us there. In Georgia, we had 100,000 more voters than the other side in the primary. And that momentum is building, and it's going to continue to build, so that we can say to people, they're trying to take what they can, but don't let them take that. And then now that we've mobilized for that, don't let them take that. And then we've mobilized, don't let them take anything that we've earned and have a right to, which is healthcare, quality education, and voting rights. Those are the top 3. And the fact that we empower us to have access to capital. And that's the next move. So we are in that space, mobilizing folks to say, if you don't do it now, when is it going to happen?
I'll never forget when Atiba once said, and I know we're coming to break right now, I'll never forget when Atiba once said, we must vote in numbers that are indisputable in the upcoming election. And to hear that 100,000 more people voted than the other side, well, that makes it difficult for someone to call the Secretary of State of Georgia and say, what? I need 11,700 more votes. No, you need 93,000. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 50.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Black Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass and Councilwoman Nithya Rahman are trading attacks ahead of their November election.
I did the first tax credit when I was Speaker of the House. You were nowhere.
Bass criticized Rahman's legislative record and blamed her opposition to expanding the LAPD for recruitment problems. Rahman fired back, calling Bass's Inside Safe homelessness program too expensive and unsustainable. A judge is hearing arguments on Carmelo Anthony's request for a new trial. The Black 19-year-old was sentenced to 35 years for fatally stabbing 17-year-old Austin Metcalf at a high school track meet. And an intern at Virginia Theological Seminary in Alexandria discovered an original draft of Martin Luther King Jr.'s letter from Birmingham jail. Nick Gentry found it while reviewing archival materials. The seminary plans to preserve the historic document and put it on public display. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique. But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Something doesn't seem right with the administration at HBCU Texas Southern University in Houston. The administration ignored the input of the men's basketball team and students and approved the hiring of head coach Corey Lowry, a former assistant at Seton Hall. The team and students made it clear in their protest on Tuesday that they wanted interim coach Sharon Chapman to be named the permanent head coach. Chapman has been at Texas Southern for 10 years. He kept the program intact during the offseason after former head coach Johnny Jones left in April to become an assistant at LSU. Many of the players said Chapman is the reason they stayed at Texas Southern after a 12-18 finish last season. The players and students want stability, and Chapman brought that to the program. Lowry might be a good coach, but does he really know what he's walking into? No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Ready for a weekend reset? Walk it out with me, Gina A. Towns, the artist formerly known as Gina Darby, on Reflectivity Beyond Black and White, as we seek peace, understanding, and healing beyond surface level perspectives, where reflectivity becomes our and resilience to transform our lives and our communities no matter what. Meet me and my crazy cool guests. Join the Reflectivity family movement as we make sense of it all. Every bit, every morsel. We're going to nourish the mind, body, and soul unapologetically right here on KBLA Talk 1580. Every Saturday, 2 and 8 p.m. on the West Coast, 4 and 10 in the Midwest, and 5 and 11 on the East Coast. It's time for Reflectivity Beyond Black and White. It's not only hot, it's sizzling, and we're cooking.
In a world full of noise, one station keeps it real. KBLA Talk 1580, where the conversation goes deeper, the voices sound like yours, and the issues that matter most to our community take center stage. Progressive, powerful, unapologetically us. Whether you're driving through the city or tuning in from your home or office, join the public square. KBLA Talk 1580, your home for talk that enlightens, encourages, and empowers. Listen live on our free KBLA 1580 app, on our website at KBLA1580.com, or on your radio dial at 1580 AM.
Unapologetically progressive. We got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
My mom has decided to learn to paint, and she's good.
My dad's now into creative cuisine, and I've already put on 6 pounds.
Learning new things comes with age.
My mom, she started forgetting my name and what we're talking about.
Forgetting well-known things doesn't. Memory loss may be a sign of Alzheimer's disease. Early detection gives you and your loved one time to plan for the future. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
All I need is one mic.
With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Dionne Raymond, Justice Correspondent and host of the Justice Files. For years, LA City Councilman Curran Price has served his district. And for years, he's been under a legal cloud which, frankly, looks thinner every time it's tested in court. Last Friday, a Superior Court judge refused to throw out the corruption case against Price. That's true. But listen to what the judge actually said while doing it. Judge Larry Paul Fiddler called this not a great case. Not our words, his. Price's attorney, standing right there in the courtroom, said it plainly. In denying our motion, the court acknowledged that this is not a great case. We agree. Now, that's not a ringing endorsement of a prosecution. That's a judge saying, essentially, there's just enough here to send it to a jury. Barely. The ruling itself says nothing about guilt. It's not proof of wrongdoing. What it is a low bar, cleared by a thin margin, on evidence the court itself has called circumstantial. Councilman Price has pleaded not guilty. He denies the allegations. And after 3 terms representing his district, he's term limited and on his way out of office, regardless of how this case ends, which raises a fair question. What exactly is served? by dragging a longtime champion for working families in South Los Angeles through a trial that even the presiding judge doesn't sound confident about. We're not saying elected officials should not be held accountable. They should. But accountability means something different from a prosecution that struggles to convince the very judge overseeing it. Curran Price deserves his day in court, and he deserves the presumption of innocence any one of us would want for ourselves or a loved one, especially when the bench itself has doubts. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Dionne Raymond, Justice Correspondent and host of the Justice Files. As always, we welcome your feedback.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Quality drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Thought-provoking Thursdays, and we're in conversation with Atiba. Our very special guest in this hour is none other than a state senator in the state of Georgia. The Honorable Tanya P. Anderson is our very special guest. She's also the president of NOBLE, the National Organization of Black Elected Legislators and Women. And I'm thinking, Atiba, in this moment, I don't know anyone who's been working harder than you have, Atiba, on the question of how important the midterms are. And Atiba, you say they effing matter, but I can imagine, I can imagine that to the senator, they really matter. Atiba?
Yeah, I want to take a quick point of reference just real quick. Senator Anderson, you know this, but I want others to know that the National Conference of State Legislators makes up 7,000 plus state legislators in the country. The National Black Caucus of State Legislators was founded in 1977 because African American state legislators attending their conferences felt that the issues of African Americans were not being addressed. So they created their own organization. And then the men continued to be elected into leadership positions. So the women said, well, we organize, we do this stuff. We're going to go over here and we're going to create the National Organization of Black Elected Legislative Women. And women like Lois DeBerry became the first Speaker pro tem in the state of Tennessee, had a very close relationship with then Senator Al Gore, who became Vice President Al Gore. And I'm mentioning this because there's this rich history. And now the three organizations work collaboratively and very, very much together. But there is a shared history of things that went along to get there. And thank you, Jesse, for what you mentioned about the midterms, because every morning now for a couple of hours in the gym, I'm taking time to listen to what was going on before. Oftentimes it's the 50s and 60s. I'm listening to what Fannie Lou Hamer was saying and things that stick with me. And she is my hero when she said things like nobody's free until everybody's free. And in this country, we're not free, and the country is not free. But African-American women consistently have been the base, particularly for the Democratic Party. African-American women have stuck together as if, like, women are intuitive and know and are strong, and our African-American women have done that. Right now, what are you, as you're out there, you're talking to your members, you're out with your constituents, what are voters telling you are the number one issues that are confronting to them? And what is it that you alluded to it, I think, in the last segment, but what is it that's pushing people to get to those 100,000 more voters? What is it that's pushing people to get out and vote?
One of the things that's pushing people to get out the vote is the threat on our democracy. The fact that it was already earned, and it's a right, number one, but it was earned, having to be proven to be earned. To take it away or to remove it from having access, for people having access, is where we say, okay, enough. You can talk and you can, sway, and you can, but when you advance then here we come. And for women in particular, and we're talking about this, we bring everyone with us. We don't leave the children at home. We don't leave the husband at home. And I'm, if anybody loves Black men, it is me. My dad was 93 when he passed away a few months ago. But my brother and my nephews, and we bring everyone with us. We don't leave them. We don't leave anyone behind. But the main thing is healthcare, access to quality healthcare. Like, why is that a problem? Why is that so hard? Between voting rights and healthcare, that this is, and education, of course, that this is a thing to try to attack us in these areas. And I've been telling people that if you don't show up, you kind of tie my hands to help you, or to help do anything in our communities. And I don't just represent 43. I represent the entire state and folks who look like, man, of course, we're bipartisan. We have Democrats and Republicans in our districts. But I say my motto is, I will serve you, but my priority is, at the end of the day, it is what it is. Because the attack is on us more than it is on any other segment of people. And with the healthcare, Black maternal health is one of the things that you see Black women dying at a higher rate than other races. That's a serious problem.
I do want to touch on Atiba's history before Atiba asks the next question that I thought was particularly important. I hope our listeners are following the pattern. There was a National Council of Legislators.
Yes.
Because Black folk felt like our issues weren't being addressed, we ended up with the National Black Caucus of State Legislators to address our issues. And then within the Black Caucus of State Legislatures, the sisters said all of their issues aren't being addressed, and they ended up with Noble. Now, that same pattern follows, for example, the Methodist Church, where Richard Allen and Black folks were up in the balcony.
Yes. I am AME, Pat. I am AME. I am so AME. Yes, but go ahead.
Could not worship. Then Richard Allen formed a new church where he became the first bishop of the African Methodist Episcopal Church.
Yes, sir.
And today, within the African Methodist Episcopal Church situation, Vashti McKenzie, Carolyn Guidry, Sarah Frances Taylor Davis, and Byfield, Francis A. Brookins, the sisters have now finally been able to become bishops. So we can go just about down every facet of American life, and there is this action and this reaction that is race, that is white folks, and then we come together to figure out how we're going to get our fair share, how we're going to participate and discuss issues that are pertinent to our community that are different than what they're talking about. Atiba, that's all I got on that.
That's all right. So, and I will add, if I may, women are, and I say this, when we're in the room, we think about everybody and everything. It's not a one-dimensional conversation. So that's where the value of women come in, because we're thinking about healthcare, the children, we think about the folks at church, at Sunday school, the ones that we may have to give a ride to. We think about all those things that can impact us. And that's why it's important to have us in the room. We do not discredit men at all. But we do have to have different points of view in the room so there's a holistic conversation.
Madam President, I know we have just another minute or so before we come forward, but I do want to ask this question. Why do the midterms matter?
The midterms matter because if you tie my hands, I can't help do anything. If you tie our hands, we cannot get beyond the hurdle of fighting. There's no funding that will go in the right place. You don't have I've been telling people in Georgia, if we don't get the right governor, you won't get the right department heads. You won't get the right funding. You won't get the right, we won't have what we need as to be fully armed to move in a space that keeps us pushing forward.
Georgia State Senator Tanya P. Anderson has been our guest. Senator, well, thank you very much for being on our show.
Absolutely, sir. And I would love to have you engage Nobel Women.
Looking forward to doing it in the not too distant future. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. More conversation with Atiba when we come forward.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Just in case you missed our Procrastination Crenshaw Town Hall.
My name is Khalifa Bey. I am the founder of the South LA Bureau of Tourism and Trade. And how this is impacting me is that I can't promote it. I won't promote it. I hear a lot of talk about everybody. Accountability is responsibility. Change your vote. Change the vote. I know there's a lot of Democrats in this room, and I get all that. But if you keep doing the same thing over and over and over and expecting a different result, it ain't going to happen. And it's not about Democrat, Republican. It's about getting what we need to get done. That's what it is for me, because this is deliberate. This of our communities. You look at Chicago. You look at all the Black communities were built by us. We're in the same condition. So to me, it's by design. And if we don't do something to change the vote to get to what we need, stop having these meetings.
Making sure they stick to the truth. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight illnesses like pneumococcal pneumonia and RSV. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and can help protect you from getting really sick. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. See more at PfizerForAll.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Hear that? That's Alka-Seltzer, the sound of fast heartburn relief. Because when heartburn hits, you want something that works fast. Quick, Alka-Seltzer. Alka-Seltzer effervescent tablets start neutralizing stomach acid in seconds, so nothing works faster for heartburn relief. Next time, when that burning feeling comes on strong, don't wait. Quick, Alka-Seltzer. Try Alka-Seltzer. Use as directed.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. 10 Toes In serves as a mentorship and domestic violence prevention program. They support, educate, and empower couples during and after incarceration. They assist male returning citizens to re-enter society successfully and to help them maintain a healthy relationship with their romantic partner. They offer a mentorship support group for formerly incarcerated men. 10 Toes In teaches its Intimate Relationships 101 curriculum at male prisons throughout the state of California. They host sister support group meetings for women who are intimately involved with incarcerated and formerly incarcerated men. 10 Toes In is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. To access their services or make a donation, please visit them online at 10toesin.org or find them on Facebook or Instagram. They are healing lives through relationships. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Let's begin now. Are you looking for quality childcare? If you are, boy, do I have the place for you. Holy Trinity Child Care Center in the City of Champions is where your little ones become big thinkers. Music that makes their little heart shine, as well as dietitian-made meals every day. I guess it's safe to say your babies will be well-fed as well as well-led. We accept bundles of joy from 18 months to 5 years old. Subsidies are accepted, and we're just minutes from the legendary SoFi Stadium. Miss Shepard's team at 9300 Crenshaw Boulevard is now enrolling. All you got to do is call 323-757-4850 or visit HolyTrinityCCC.com. At Holy Trinity, we champion your child's heart, mind, and spirit every single day.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. We are at Thought Provoking Thursdays and Conversations with Atiba. Atiba, welcome forward to the show.
Jesse, it's always good being here.
Atiba, On the chessboard of American politics, Georgia State Senator Tanya P. Anderson is the real deal.
Yes, yes, sir. And and the women who are part of that organization, they're just dynamic. We call this thought provoking Thursday. They are thought provoking. They also know how to push the buttons and get some things done. And I think it's really important that we find ways to push and get more African American women into leadership positions.
401 African American state legislators, that's representatives and senators in the 50 states. And Tanya P. Anderson, the Honorable Tanya P. Anderson, is their president, National Organization of Black Elected Officials and Legislative Women. I'm certainly hopeful that in, I guess, less now than 90 days, that their organization between September 30th, I think it is, and October 3rd, their conference in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, lays out their plan for getting the vote out in the midterms. Have you heard, or are you participating in any of their preliminary organizing plans, Atiba?
Yeah, so I mean, I've been on a couple of calls. I'm not quite sure, but I have been talking to some of the legislators here in Florida, particularly in my area, my district, and there are a lot of activities that are going on. But the feeling is exactly what we said before. You mentioned 100,000. I think that was the number that you listed. There is a sense of concern, and at the same time, I feel like with danger there can be opportunity, and right now I feel like we're taking that opportunity. I just hope that we don't look at what's happened in the midterms and think, okay, everything's going to be okay. We still have to go out and vote in numbers too large to manipulate the outcome. Because you have somebody like the GOP candidate Lindell, who is saying that there was voter issues because he lost in Minnesota and he was running against his own party, folks. Imagine what it's going to be like in November.
You know, I remember that Neanderthal BS that we were hearing when Kamala Harris was the Democratic nominee and black men were talking about, is she black? Is she a woman? Is she all that Neanderthal politic? And look at what we got. I mean, we got the worst case scenario as a result of our best thinking. And so I really like the idea of seeing African American women as part of our community's double threat. If we can get sisters in and brothers can't hack it, or they're not speaking to the issues of affordability, as long as they're on message with us, and I mean with us being our community, with the underserved, with the disinherited, the damned, however you want to refer to what Reverend Jackson said in his 84 or 88 Democratic Convention speech, or what Howard Thurman meant when he referred to people whose backs are against the wall and Jesus and the disinherited. The point is, as long as we have the Maxine Waters, the Barbara Lee, the Karen Bass type voices, the late Carrie Meeks, Shirley Chisholm, as long as we have these voices, Barbara Jordan, Sheila Jackson Lee, as long as we have these voices in the legislatures of our country holding up the bloodstained banner, I feel like we're in a great place, man.
I agree. And, I mentioned Fannie Lou Hamer because, listening to her story and how she eloquently shared that, she, to me, epitomizes what we have seen of the struggle of what African American women have endured and their experiences. I mean, Senator Anderson talked about Black maternal health. There are so many different issues that impact us and affect us. And, there are times when I'm coming at this in a different way. I don't want to keep talking about this as a Black maternal health issue. I want to talk about this as a human maternal health issue. And when I say things like that, it is not in any way to negate African American women. I come from an African American woman. But I want us to win. And I was listening this morning to Harry Belafonte and Sidney Poitier and several others. They were on a panel right after the March on Washington. And the way that they talked about things and the things that they were talking about and the fact that they kept going back to the human aspect of this, it is eerily we are living in a time where everything is eerily rhyming to things that happened before: police brutality, voter disenfranchisement, et cetera, et cetera. And yet I think that this is an opportunity for us to also educate, not just about voting, but educate about what happened in the past. Because if we don't, those things, I think that, we're seeing are coming back, and the tactics that are being used are not new tactics. They are the same tactics that were used in the past.
Senator Tanya P. Anderson is also a woman of honor, 21 years in the nation's Air Force Reserves. This isn't just any person running for office. This is a person who served her country. And those are always great credentials when one is making the argument with and about people who try to dismiss her or dismiss the contribution that we've made. She's put her life on the line for the nation.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And, when I'm talking to her and others like her, I always like to thank them for not just their service, but for making the sacrifices, and their families making the sacrifices that they did to protect the integrity of our right to vote, the integrity of our right to free speech, the integrity of our right to be human. And those are the things that I think that I want to continue to harp on. And I also just want to keep telling people, please make sure you go out to vote. Take a friend, take a family member, go collectively. Think about the images of what the men and women, how they marched in Selma. And remember, we have to vote in numbers too large to manipulate the outcome.
How can we support Midterms Effing Matter in that campaign?
The main thing is, if you can go to midtermseffingmatter.com, check your voter registration. And even if you check it now, check it again. Keep checking it until you go and vote. Make sure that your name is on the voting rolls. Make sure, if you're not registered to vote, please, you can also on the website, you can check you can register to vote. We have links that will take you so that you can find out what's on your ballot, what issues on your ballot, and very importantly, where you need to go to vote.
If you're listening to us on the 405, the 101, the 5, the 10, the 118, the 110, you're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. It's been Thought-Provoking Thursday. Atiba, Conversations with Atiba. That's what we have in the first hour. Coming up next is none other than Dr. Johnny Mack. Atiba, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Jesse.
Look forward to seeing you next week. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. More on KBLA Talk 1580 with Johnny Mack when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Black Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass and Councilwoman Nithya Raman are trading attacks ahead of their November election.
I did the first tax credit when I was Speaker of the House. You were nowhere.
Bass criticized Raman's legislative record and blamed her opposition to expanding the LAPD for recruitment problems. Raman fired back, calling Bass's Inside Safe homelessness program too expensive and unsustainable. A judge is hearing arguments on Carmelo Anthony's request for a new trial. The Black 19-year-old was sentenced to 35 years for fatally stabbing 17-year-old Austin Metcalf at a high school track meet. And an intern at Virginia Theological Seminary in Alexandria discovered an original draft of Martin Luther King Jr.'s letter from Birmingham jail. Nick Gentry found it while reviewing archival materials. The seminary plans to preserve the historic document and put it on public display. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique. But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Something doesn't seem right with the administration at HBCU Texas Southern University in Houston. The administration ignored the input of the men's basketball team and students and approved the hiring of head coach Corey Lowry, a former assistant at Seton Hall. The team and students made it clear in their protest on Tuesday that they wanted interim coach Sharon Chapman to be named the permanent head coach. Chapman has been at Texas Southern for 10 years. He kept the program intact during the offseason after former head coach Johnny Jones left in April to become an assistant at LSU. Many of the players said Chapman is the reason they stayed at Texas Southern after a 12-18 finish last season. The players and students want stability, and Chapman brought that to the program. Lowry might be a good coach, but does he really know what he's walking into? No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
All I need is one mic.
With the KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. My big mama used to say that there are 24 hours in a day, 12 hours to mind your business, and 12 hours to leave other folks' business alone. So let's talk about our business, Crenshaw Business. For over 5 years now, the good people of the Crenshaw Corridor have lived in a gated community, but not by choice. Gates, fences, barricades, limited street access, closed lots, and then some. By now, you've heard the stories from the folk who've lived this nightmare. Business owners have lost customers. A charter school lost students. A veterinarian lost clients. Churches have lost members. And still, Procrastination Crenshaw sits unfinished. And when I say sits unfinished, I mean sits unfinished. Nobody was seduced by the Jedi mind trick they tried to play when they ran that headline on the front page of a local black newspaper about the project restarting in weeks. I mean, come see for yourself. The only trucks on Crenshaw are deconstruction trucks. It took a minute, but to her credit, LA Mayor Karen Bass showed up and she's leaning in on getting our parking back. But think about this for just a second. LA is not Chocolate City, and yet we are blessed to have a black mayor and a black city council president. But where is the black city council president? Where is Marquise Harris Dawson? This is his project in his district, but he has been strangely quiet. Did you notice in the recent Los Angeles Times story about Procrastination Crenshaw that neither Marquise Harris Dawson nor Destination Crenshaw had a word to say on the record? The silence was deafening. When people ask me why the silence, all I can say is, good question. As a reminder, the Crenshaw Corridor community sent him a letter, and it laid out real demands: a public timeline, relief for the businesses that have suffered, and an audit. At the moment, the last one matters most: the audit. Here's the thing: the foundation money, the private donations, that's their business. But this project is also funded by city money, state money, and federal money. I refer you back to the front page story in that black newspaper where they all talked about this. Go read it again. In any event, it's your money. And when public money goes into a $100 million project that still sits unfinished, the public has a right to see where every dollar went. Contracts, budgets, payments, schedules. That's not too much to ask. Again, it's your money. Our letter gave Mr. Harris Dawson a deadline, Friday, September 4th, to respond. The clock is ticking, Mr. President. 12 hours to mind the public's business. And this is one of them. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. As always, we welcome your feedback.
How did you want it?
Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. We're in the World House now with Johnny Mack, social entrepreneur and scholar practitioner. Dr. Mack's research includes extensive study of Martin Luther King Jr.'s logic of nonviolence and the U.S. Civil Rights Movement. I know he's got to be tickling himself to death right now because there is a breaking news story as of 11:52 this morning. An intern at Virginia Seminary finds an original draft of the letter by Martin Luther King Jr. While sifting through material at Virginia Theological Seminary in Alexandria earlier this month, Nick Gentry made a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. There, among the collection belonging to John Melville Burgess, the African-American to lead the Episcopal Diocese, was an original draft of the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr.'s seminal letter from a Birmingham jail. Gentry, who served an internship at the seminary, said he thought he found a copy of an early draft of the document, but on further examination by seminary staff, it was determined it was an original draft. I was blown away, Gentry, now a graduate of the University of Maryland's Master of Library Sciences program, told WTOP, I instantly recognized it as the letter from a Birmingham jail. But it was my first, though. Oh, this must be a copy. It wasn't. The later examined by Swan Galleries in New York, it was certified to be an original draft. Swan sold a different draft of the letter in 2021. The Virginia Theological Seminary plans to preserve the letter and display it for public view in the near future. Johnny Mack, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Great to be here, Jesse. What a story, huh? What a
Johnny,
find.
a very, very rare find. I should share with you that I have two letters from Martin Luther King Jr. One was a fundraising letter that he issued shortly after the Selma campaign, shortly after Lyndon Johnson gave his speech to the Congress of the United States. At that time, there was no Xerox. There were no computer printers. So whenever he sent out a fundraising appeal, he had to use, it was typed, and then somehow they either typed it multiple times, or they found a way to type it multiple times, which each letter being a little different than the other because a period may not be here that was here, depending upon who the typist was. But one thing is absolutely certified, the signature of Martin Luther King Jr. I know how valuable and how important those artifacts are to our history. Johnny, first the find and then the significance of Birmingham. Johnny?
Well, the significance of the find is really hard to state, Jesse. Any original document of King's is something precious to hold. But the letter from the Birmingham jail, of course, is arguably one of the greatest documents any American has ever written in terms of explaining our Constitution, the state of our experiment in democracy. It's just an incredible find. And there was no idea, I'm sure you know, Jesse, that any such document still exists. The legend was he wrote it on the corners of newspaper and, other bits and pieces and smuggled it out of the jail. But to have someone certify that this is an original document is incredible. And then to your second question, Birmingham, of course, was a pivotal point. It's an axial point in the movement of that time. And in so many ways, not only in terms of King's and being jailed there, but the bombing in Birmingham. And of course, it was called Birmingham, described as Birmingham in those days. So this is an incredible find and throws us back in time, but we must immediately reach forward and make it significant and relevant in this time.
We'll do that when we come forward, but I do want to share with you this. When my father went to Syria to get Robert Goodman, my brother Jonathan and I were on that trip. And the person responsible for the logistics of that trip was none other than the late, great Dr. Wyatt T. Walker.
That's right.
Dr. Walker, very close and dear friend of Reverend Al Sharpton's, a major and pivotal figure in the civil rights movement, but he led the logistics of that trip. He kept us all in order on that trip. And he is the person that Martin Luther King Jr. gave these various samples of the original letter from a Birmingham jail to, so that Wyatt T. Walker could sneak them out of the Birmingham jail. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. We're in the World House with Johnny Mack. More when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Just in case you missed our Procrastination Crenshaw Town Hall.
My name is Bronwyn, and I've been in this neighborhood for 65 years.
All righty.
I was raised here, right on Crenshaw Boulevard. Ancestry, legacy, everything. No parking. In regards to our elderly, in regards to trying to get from one end to the other, 48th and 50th Street is a dead zone. You got to get off the bus and you got to make your way down in the middle of the block. I'm right across the street. I understand one of the things. I am happy to see you guys. I've been in too many meetings where you weren't there. I understand those who own the buildings and your properties. I understand those who rent from you. Here it is. Why can't we invest in each other?
Making sure they follow through. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
The KBLA 1580 app puts the realest conversations right in your pocket. Stream live wherever you are in the world. No static. No searching the dial. A crystal clear connection 24/7, exactly when you want it. We recommend that you keep automatic updates enabled. Set it and forget it. So the app stays up to date with store requirements, bug fixes, and new features as we roll them out. Download the KBLA 1580 app today and stay plugged into the conversation everyone's having.
Is reviewing life insurance on your to-do list? Now's the perfect time to add it. A friend recently told me that securing life insurance sooner rather than later can help you lock in lower rates for years to come. So I bumped this up on my list and got it done. I called SelectQuote and couldn't believe how easy and affordable life insurance is. I'm 40 and got a $500,000 policy for $16 a month. My husband's also 40 and his $500,000 policy was only $18 a month. Plus, with SelectQuote's same-day coverage, there was no medical exam required and we were covered by the time we hung up. Knowing I have this checked off my list feels amazing, but the peace of mind knowing my family is protected feels even better.
Call SelectQuote at 1-800-729-7070. That's 1-800-729-7070. Or go to SelectQuote.com to get your free quote today. That's 1-800-729-7070. Details on example rate at SelectQuote.com.
What's good, KBLA delegation? I am Miles Lowe, and I'm excited to be joining the weekend lineup right here on KBLA Talk 1580. Join me every Saturday at 12 noon for the Do Better Show, where we get into the world of tech, AI, the creator economy, navigating your mental health through it all, and have conversations with founders to find out how real people are making real money right now. It's not a course, not a subscription. Classes in session every weekend, live on the air. If you knew better, you do better, right? So let's make a better you. The Do Better Show, every Saturday, 12 noon, and replaying again at 7 p.m. right here on Unapologetically Progressive KBLA Talk 1580. We got a lot to talk about.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Wally drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the me.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Dr. Johnny Mack has traveled extensively throughout the Americas, Africa, Asia, Europe, and the Middle East, working in the fields of peace, development, conflict, and nonviolent social change. Dr. Mack, welcome forward.
Thank you, JC. Great to be here.
Dr. Mack, written on April 16, 1963, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s letter from a Birmingham jail is a foundational text of the civil rights movement. Imprisoned for peaceful anti-segregation protests, Dr. King defended nonviolent direct action, famously stating that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere and urging a moral duty to break unjust laws. 3 core arguments: unjust laws, the danger of the white moderate, and the urgency of action. Dr. Mack, can we start with unjust laws? How do we make the distinction between the two?
How do we make the distinction between just laws and unjust laws? You broke up a little bit, Jesse, on my side. I think that was your question.
Yes, it is.
So, yes, of course, King is famous for making the distinction of just and unjust laws, and taking the position that we have a moral obligation to not cooperate with unjust laws. And that distinction, of course, becomes a matter of one's moral calculus, how we understand fundamental natural rights, the academics or scholars might argue. Those religiously inclined would argue our God-given rights, rights that come from being created in the image of God and holding in that image a certain dignity as a result of the hand of God's creation. And so, how do we distinguish between just and unjust laws? Just laws would recognize the dignity, the equal dignity and worth of all humankind. And any time a law distinguishes and causes a difference in the law to between one group of people versus another group of persons, then that becomes an unjust law. And so I think fundamentally those are the basic arguments for distinguishing between the two.
Johnny, let me be devil's advocate here, and for the purposes of educating our listeners.
Yeah.
In my calculus, the only unjust law and justification for breaking an unjust law is if you're a conscientious objector. That is Muhammad Ali or Malcolm or Dr. King, or someone who recognizes that the law is unjust and decides to break it because it's against their fundamental core and their fundamental being. But more often than not, a lot of us continue our daily lives all day long, no matter how unjust the law is. Like, no one conscientious objector is raising it to the point that people feel that they're being duped or disrespected, or that they're permanently trapped in second-class citizenship. Now, so if I'm driving on the 101, the 5, or the 10 right now, this is not subjective. What's objective is there's a speed limit. And when you go beyond the speed limit, we've all agreed that the speed is whatever it is, 65, 70, or 55 miles an hour if you're on Lakeshore Drive, and I might be 10 miles over the hour over the speed limit right there. Might be 45 miles an hour on Chicago's Lakeshore Drive. The point that I'm trying to make is, at what point in time does a civilized society need law that we all commonly agree on, but then when it denies women access, when it denies blacks access, when it denies immigrants due process, at what point in time do we engage the system in a way that brings to the system's attention that this law is unjust? Dr. Mack?
Well, just yes, at least 2, maybe 3 questions wrapped in one there. What makes a law unjust? When does it become unjust? And then what do we do about it? And when do we do it? Again, I think, well, I'm not a jurist, I'm not a lawyer. And so, I think the legal answer to that would better come from, an expert in the law. However, that said, a law that violates one's personhood fundamentally, as I argued earlier, is unjust. And that individual has I'll use the term God-given right, a moral right to object to that law. But we all are subject to the law if we're going to have social order. And that then raises the question, what do we do when one believes that a law is unfair to that individual or group of people. King argued that we can protest that law, we can refuse to obey it nonviolently, and we must be willing to suffer the consequences of that action. I think collectively, the collective conscious, and this is really important here, I think, Jesse, particularly in the framework of the idea, the logic of nonviolence, the collective conscious of a people who recognize that a law is unjust, that its application, which is another element that we have to bring into the conversation, Jesse, the law in itself may be unjust in its fundamental concept. How it is applied and to whom it is applied or not, then becomes subject to an injustice. And so I think distinguishing between and among those various applications of the law and understanding of the law is important here in the conversation. When do we protest?
Absolutely. I mean, and I want to be clear so that our followers can hear this and understand it. It is the difference between de jure, means by law, official, legal, or formal, and de facto, which is in fact, in reality, practice or actual use, even without legal backing. And so on its face, it looks like a good law. But when we're the only people who can't drink at a water fountain, or we're the only people that can't sit where we want on a bus, or we're the only people trapped in second-class schools, or we're the only people without health care, or gas prices are always high on our side of town because you don't live in downtown America, when it takes longer to get to work from our side of town and there's no tax break for us to get there and we're still working at minimum wage, the law seems equal, but we're not making a livable wage that includes our transportation cost, especially if the government doesn't let us write off bus fare, Uber fare. It sounds neutral on its face, but a billionaire who lives above his office and gets to write off his living space while you live 10 miles from work and don't get tax breaks for spending your hard-earned money. And by the time you get home at the end of a day's work, you can't afford to feed your family. It sounds equal. My dad called it turkey and called it chicken, and he called it ham and chicken justice.
Ham and chicken.
Yeah, he said that everybody wants a ham and egg sandwich. And the chicken turns and says, "Oh, that's no problem." Boop, boop. Drops 2 eggs and keep it moving. Sounds equal. But upon second thought, the hog thinks about it and says to himself, wait a minute. Y'all said ham and egg too fast. Y'all said that too fast now because I'm the one that's got to leave a hind quarter at the table. That ain't fair. Ham and egg justice. Now, the other point Dr. King raised in this speech, and I think it's appropriate for today, why was he so concerned about the white moderate, Dr. Mack?
Yeah. So the white moderate King understood as someone who perhaps talked the talk, we might say, but when the abstract rubber meets the concrete road, to mix metaphors, doesn't walk the walk. That is, they talk a good game. They argue for justice. They all argue for equal protection. But when it comes to actually implementing and ensuring that all people are treated equally and before the law, it becomes convenient, right, and expedient to not walk that walk, particularly when they are benefited by that injustice. That's a hard pill to swallow.
It's more than a hard pill to swallow, Johnny, because we got about 4 minutes before we come forward. But I want you to help our listeners understand, what does a white moderate look like today?
Well, Jesse, you know,
I want to get you in no trouble now.
well, I think you're doing the best you can. Jesse, I'm not sure that there's any way to characterize physically what a white moderate looks like. The question is, how does a white moderate behave?
Behave, yeah, I like that.
Right? You know,
what is the behavior of a white moderate, Johnny Mac?
You know, Jesse, today's white moderate. I'm thinking it. I'm trying to collect my thoughts for the question, because I'm not sure what a white moderate is today. Now that you asked the question, we are so divided.
Wouldn't a white moderate say, "I'm not a racist"?
I'm sorry.
Racist. Wouldn't a white moderate say, "I'm not a racist"?
Well, maybe. I guess one would, but is that how we want to define it? Is that our point here? Who's on? You know, where do you stand when it comes to justice? Where does one stand when it comes to ensuring that all American citizens, all human beings, are treated equally, fairly, and justly? And what do your actions show? How do you vote? You know, it's amazing, Jesse, that we were all surprised. Many of us were surprised when Donald Trump won his first election. How could it be possible that it would be so many quote unquote white moderates who voted for this person? Back then, it was alleged that he had a following at best of a third of the white population on his side. But it was far more than that who voted for him. I think we got a wrap, and maybe we can come back to it.
That was the first campaign that Donald Trump ran in, I believe, Johnny. I think that's right. And there was this sense that they were willing to vote for the candidate they did not know over the reality of what they could have only hoped and expected, that Donald Trump might have risen to the occasion, and it simply did not happen. I agree with that. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Been listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. A new find: Martin Luther King Jr.'s letter from a Birmingham jail found at a Virginia seminary. Johnny Mac is breaking down the substance and the significance of that letter. More on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. The Visit Lauderdale logo in Florida will stay the same after Black Broward County Commissioner Alexandra Davis withdrew a proposal to add the county's name to the bottom.
The brand is funded by County Tourism Resources.
Other commissioners and business leaders opposed the change, saying the current logo is clean and that a redesign could cost millions. More than 100 people are dead after a landslide caused a gold mine to collapse in a small village in the Central African Republic. The collapse happened Tuesday. A local mining official says more than 100 bodies have been recovered as rescue crews continue searching for survivors and more victims. In Milton, Massachusetts, schools are ending an anonymous residency tip line after Black students made up nearly half of about 100 investigations, despite being less than 12% of enrollment. The district will also improve race and housing data while parents continue pushing for police to be removed from the process. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique. But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Something doesn't seem right with the administration at HBCU Texas Southern University in Houston. The administration ignored the input of the men's basketball team and students and approved the hiring of head coach Corey Lowry, a former assistant at Seton Hall. The team and students made it clear in their protest on Tuesday that they wanted interim coach Sharon Chapman to be named the permanent head coach. Chapman has been at Texas Southern for 10 years. He kept the program intact during the offseason after former head coach Johnny Jones left in April to become an assistant at LSU. Many of the players said Chapman is the reason they stayed at Texas Southern after a 12-18 finish last season. The players and students want stability, and Chapman brought that to the program. Lowry might be a good coach, but does he really know what he's walking into? No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio that's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
In a world full of noise, one station keeps it real. KBLA Talk 1580, where the conversation goes deeper, the voices sound like yours, and the issues that matter most to our community take center stage. Progressive, powerful, unapologetically us. Whether you're driving through the city or tuning in from your home or office, join the public square. KBLA Talk 1580, your home for talk that enlightens, encourages, and empowers. Listen live on our free KBLA 1580 app, on our website at KBLA1580.com, or on your radio dial at 1580 AM.
Unapologetically progressive.
All I need is one mic.
With the KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Deon Raymond, Justice Correspondent and host of the Justice Files. For years, LA City Councilman Curran Price has served his district. And for years, he's been under a legal cloud which, frankly, looks thinner every time it's tested in court. Last Friday, a Superior Court judge refused to throw out the corruption case against Price. That's true. But listen to what the judge actually said while doing it. Judge Larry Paul Fiddler called this not a great case. Not our words, his. Price's attorney, standing right there in the courtroom, said it plainly. In denying our motion, the court acknowledged that this is not a great case. We agree. Now, that's not a ringing endorsement of a prosecution. That's a judge saying, essentially, there's just enough here to send it to a jury. Barely. The ruling itself says nothing about guilt. It's not proof of wrongdoing. What it is a low bar, cleared by a thin margin, on evidence the court itself has called circumstantial. Councilman Price has pleaded not guilty. He denies the allegations. And after 3 terms representing his district, he's term limited and on his way out of office, regardless of how this case ends, which raises a fair question. What exactly is served? By dragging a longtime champion for working families in South Los Angeles through a trial that even the presiding judge doesn't sound confident about. We're not saying elected officials should not be held accountable. They should. But accountability means something different from a prosecution that struggles to convince the very judge overseeing it. Curran Price deserves his day in court, and he deserves the presumption of innocence any one of us would want for ourselves or a loved one, especially when the bench itself has doubts. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Deon Raymond, Justice Correspondent and host of the Justice Files. As always, we welcome your feedback.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. We're in the World House with Dr. Johnny Mack. An amazing find at a Virginia university today places the letter from a Birmingham jail in a find made by a student for a library professional at the seminary, and it has been verified as authentic. And we are blessed that within the hour that it has been brought public, Johnny Mack is our very special guest. Johnny is a scholar of the work of Martin Luther King Jr. and its significance, the significance of the Birmingham jail letter. We were talking about just before the break, the white moderate, but before we go to urgency of action, I do want to comment on that one more time. When someone says, I'm not a racist, or someone says, I've got black friends, Johnny Mack says, that's not the test. He says the test is, where do you stand on the justice issues? And I agree with you on that. Now, when the moderate, of course, responds and says, what justice issues? Well, we have a history on our side of town that when a state does not welcome federal authorities in to investigate, and the state says, we'll handle it our way and we'll get back to y'all when we find out whatever we're going to find out. Well, we've seen Byron Della Beckwith, we've seen Emmett Till, we've seen Medgar Evers make people wait 40 years, and then suddenly you all find some document that say somebody should have been served a warrant. And so our antennas go up when we start demanding justice. Don't tell us to be patient. That's what Dr. King said. Don't ask us to wait for our justice. I was born into this world with certain inalienable rights, and they're not due to somebody else's timetable or time limit. They need to happen real soon, and they need to happen real fast. So Johnny Max correctly, I believe, points to the issues of justice as the litmus test, not friendship, not name calling, but justice. Johnny, thank you for that clarity.
Well, yeah, Jesse, and if it applied then, it applies now. And so where do we stand with justice today? What is just in rolling back the games of the mid-20th century struggle? All that King and Wyatt T. Walker and your dad and so many others fought, many died for. So we're facing today, in many ways, problems that are even worse than what was experienced, if one can believe that, Jesse, in the mid-20th century, in mid-1960. Can you imagine? And so what do we do about it? You're talking about the white moderates. You know, Reverend Al Sharpton is leading a March on Washington this month in honor of the anniversary of the famous 1968 March on Washington. So we're right back, Jesse, in this very month, fighting for the same justice they fought for 60, 70 years ago.
I find that extraordinary. And it is my intention to be in Washington on August 28th.
Yeah.
When Reverend Sharpton and Martin Luther King III lead that march. Hopefully thousands will show up to show our solidarity. And it's just a few short weeks, maybe just a couple of months before the November election. A great time to get our marching orders and to kind of hone all of our efforts nationally. You can hear my voice and you're within the range of my voice. You need to be at the March on Washington under the leadership of Reverend Al Sharpton, which will be taking place this August 28th on the anniversary of the March on Washington, which was a march for jobs, as I understand it, peace and justice, 2 years before I was born. The other point, Dr. Mack, that Dr. King brought forward in the letter was the urgency of action.
The urgency of now.
Yeah, we're not talking about do nothingness, Dr. Mack. Help us with the urgency of now in our time and in our space.
Well, you know, the urgency of now is what's happening to me right now. What is urgent to me versus what is urgent to you can be two very different things based upon our life experiences, what we are experiencing in real time at a moment in time. And as King would argue, the time is always now. It's always right to do right.
Mm.
And so the urgency of now is against those who argued that the African American should wait, that in time, someplace over time, an African American would find justice, would find freedom, would find full opportunity to enjoy the benefits that the average white person at that time enjoyed. The urgency of now says, I have a right now to enjoy those same benefits. And to blame me for marching and protesting for my rights is what the urgency of now, Jesse, is all about.
Absolutely. That's exactly what I know Dr. King was saying, and I think it couldn't have been articulated any clearer. And I love the example that you give of in time, over time, to help center us, not in the past, not center us in a time and space that we are not responsible completely for in the future, but the centering of our present moment.
That's right.
That what confronts us in the moment, the stars that have aligned in your life, what God has put on our table, the administration, the Congress, the apathy, the impatience, the anxiety that we're feeling, the hope that we need, the inspiration that and motivation that we need to go forward in spite of, all of it comes together in this moment. I can't promise you, nor do I know what happened in 1963. I was born in 1965, wasn't there. I could not answer that call, and no one born before that moment can answer that call. We can only answer the call and the cards, play the cards that have been dealt to us. That's who we are in time, correct, Johnny?
That's right. That's right. That's right. And we have a right, Jesse, to enjoy and experience what everyone else, well, all others enjoy and experience in the moment, in time, right now. To tell someone, well, it's okay for me to enjoy what life has to offer, what our nation has to offer in freedom and justice. But you wait, and in time, it will come. It's a ridiculous, absurd argument. And that's going back to your question about the moderate that King spoke of in the Birmingham jail was all about. Willing for you to wait, but enjoying the benefits of the American dream in the moment.
The historical impact of the letter included that is the text, shifted national and international attention toward the brutality of Jim Crow laws, cementing itself as a classic piece of modern literature and human rights advocacy. Dr. King wasn't just focused on the moment in Birmingham. He brought attention in the World House to a particular problem in Birmingham, Johnny, that was being experienced in other parts of the world as well.
That's right. That's right. And so, when we think about, and we've talked about this, the speech that King gave on the Vietnam War, King moved from, just think about this, Jesse, he moved from a single issue of riding the bus in Birmingham, in Montgomery. Again, a single issue of riding buses to a global issue of peace and justice. So in his 13-year campaign, King comes from a single issue to global justice. Amazing.
And making them inextricably bound. You can't have one without the other. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. We're in the World House with Johnny Mack. When we come forward, we're going to find out how we can help Johnny Mack with his work, and we're going to keep building a World House together. More on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Just in case you missed our Procrastination Crenshaw Town Hall.
My name is Asata Umoja. I'm with the Hyde Park Organizational Partnership for Empowerment, which is at the southern end of Crenshaw. And this community has been greatly impacted. As a matter of fact, one of the things that we're most concerned about is just being totally neglected. And what I mean is being excluded from the process. When this project first started, they should have made sure that our organization, since we were most impacted, was in there. So we've been excluded, and we've seen commercial properties be taken for art projects. And we're very concerned about these are spaces that could help build economic growth and development in the community. And what this community needs more of is economic development, not art. I mean, I like art. It's a good thing. But they're putting the cart before the horse, because without a solid economic foundation, what they are calling cultural tourism absolutely has no significance and no meaning. And this community is going under if we don't stop and do something to help build that economic foundation and support the businesses that are the tax base for this community to build the kind of services that we need. And the response from our leadership is totally inadequate.
Holding them accountable. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight illnesses like pneumococcal pneumonia and RSV. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and can help protect you from getting really sick. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. See more at PfizerForAll.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Hear that? That's Alka-Seltzer, the sound of fast heartburn relief. Because when heartburn hits, you want something that works fast. Quick, Alka-Seltzer. Alka-Seltzer effervescent tablets start neutralizing stomach acid in seconds, so nothing works faster for heartburn relief. Next time when that burning feeling comes on strong, don't wait. Quick, Alka-Seltzer. Try Alka-Seltzer. Use as directed.
At Charmin, we heard you shouldn't talk about going to the bathroom in public, so we decided to sing about it.
Charmin Ultra Strong. You can use less, better than the rest. Charmin Ultra Strong. Your booty past the clean test. Salmon weave texture, it's the best. Study up, teach a lesson on fresh. Your booty past the clean test. Yes, sir. Charmin Ultra Strong.
Charmin Ultra Strong with diamond weave texture cleans better than the leading one-ply brand, so you can use less. Enjoy the go with Charmin.
You know that Big Bargain detergent jug is 80% water, right? It doesn't clean as well.
80% water? I thought I was getting a better deal because it's so big.
If you want a better clean, Tide Pods are only 12% water. The rest is pure, concentrated cleaning ingredients.
Oh, let me make an announcement.
Attention shoppers, if you want a real deal, try Tide Pods.
Stop paying for watered-down detergents. Pay for clean. If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Pods. Water content based on the leading bargain liquid detergent.
In a world full of noise, one station keeps it real. KBLA Talk 1580, where the conversation goes deeper, the voices sound like yours, and the issues that matter most to our community take center stage. Progressive, powerful, unapologetically us. Whether you're driving through the city or tuning in from your home or office, join the public square. KBLA Talk 1580, your home for talk that enlightens, encourages, and empowers. Listen live on our free KBLA 1580 app, on our website at KBLA1580.com, or on your radio dial at 1580 AM.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The BLM Center for Black Power is a hub for Black activism in the city of Los Angeles, a standalone nonprofit affiliated with Black Lives Matter LA. The venue is home to live events, meetings, and organizing drives for Black-led community-based organizations. It is also the base of operations for Black Lives Matter LA. Built on what used to be a nuisance property owned by an arms dealer, the BLM Center for Black Power is in the heart of Leimert Park and has opened its doors to everything from youth organizers to toy drives to film screenings and community town hall meetings. To make a donation or make a request, please visit blmla.org. That's blmla.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Knock, knock, Capital One Bank guy.
Wow, Charles Barkley?
I just moved into the neighborhood. Can I borrow some Wi-Fi?
Sure, Chuck. That's what the Capital One Cafe is here for, open 7 days a week.
Oh, can I use your ATM? My dog walker only takes cash.
Anything for a neighbor.
Can I try the catchphrase?
Sure, take it for a spin.
There's no fees and minimums on Capital One checking accounts.
Nice, Chuck. I'll take it from here. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Visit CapitalOne.com/bankguide for details. Capital One and name member FDIC.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 15.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Looking forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. We're in the World House with Dr. Johnny Mack, our final episode, if you will, our final segment for the week. Dr. Mack's seminal work, After Confrontation, Then What? Challenges the putative logic of nonviolent social change theory and practice. Particularly, he rearticulates nonviolence beyond the traditional understanding of nonviolent struggle as principally nonviolent resistance. Dr. Mack, how can we support your work?
Well, you can visit our website at theworldhouseproject.org, and you'll find our work as well as the opportunity to make a tax-deductible contribution.
Can you give us your website, Doc?
Yes, theworldhouseproject.org.
Appreciate that. Doc, let me ask you a question from your perspective, and I know this may be a hard question because you know everybody in the movement, but are there really any standouts for people who are doing Dr. King's work? I know you've articulated that we're all doing the work now and that there's not a leader, but multiple leaders. But, you know, when I see Reverend Sharpton and when I see Ben Crump, I mean, I'm grateful for their public witness, right? When I see Tavis holding a town hall meeting and holding African-American elected officials accountable, you know, I'm grateful for that work. When I see some preachers move outside of the pulpit and start taking on multinational corporations like Target, I mean, I'm grateful to Jamal Bryant for that work. When I hear and listen to the articulation of the issues and the gospel which he infuses on the floor of the United States Senate, Raphael Warnock, I mean, I see the work. We have to see Dr. King in everybody, don't we, Johnny?
I think we do, Jesse. And we have to see him in the work that you're doing now with this radio program or with this, with the Jesse Jackson Jr. show. I think looking for a single person, a single voice is a mistake. We all collectively must be that voice. We must all echo the voice, not only of King, but of your dad and that whole cadre, that whole gathering of I'll call them gospel gladiators who stood in the gap, Jesse, who stood on the wall like the watchman, declaring what is just and what is right. And we must all play a part today. Whatever our profession, whatever our station in life, we all have that moral obligation to fight against injustice, to fight against unjust laws. And so I'm just grateful that I can do my little bit, my small part.
You're doing an extraordinary job, Johnny. Is there any concerns that you have for the present generation or future generations, Johnny?
You know, Jesse, I have no concern about the present generation. I really do not. It doesn't mean that everyone necessarily understands and participates in the struggle. Not everyone did, 50, 60 years ago during the height of what we call the modern civil rights movement. Not everyone does today, but there are some young leaders, whether they are social activists, whether they are academicians, whether they are clergy, whether they are lawyers in the legal profession. There's real young talent out there that is calling truth to power and really standing in the gap, filling the void.
Johnny, I'm so grateful for your contribution and for keeping this dream alive in ways that are very serious for such a time as this. Johnny, can you share with us a word of hope?
Yes, that word of hope. I think it goes back to that, this generation and the generation that will come behind them. Jesse, my hope is that you and I will continue to do things so worthy, so meaningful, that those who come behind us, those who look up to us, will find the space on our shoulders to stand, as we have stood on the shoulders of people like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. as he sat in a Birmingham jail and wrote such a speech that is considered one of the greatest in American history. So my hope is that we will continue and we'll create that space so that feet like our own can find the space to stand in the gap for truth and justice.
Johnny, your contribution is immeasurable. And I think if I had to build on the word of hope, it would only be that we have to see Dr. King's work in everyone. He's not here with us to complete the work. In a real sense, completing the work of Jesus of Nazareth, which I think Dr. King also saw himself in a kind of avatar position for his people. Now, I'm not talking out the side of my neck here. James Baldwin talked about it in The Dangerous Road, confronting Martin Luther King Jr., that he found himself in a personal struggle with how he could be an avatar, that he could put on the seat of something so extraordinary that he could speak that truth to power and still maintain the highest level of human dignity in a struggle, while at the same time maintaining integrity with our people and the struggle. That is not an easy line to strike when one looks at highest level of integrity as well as authenticity. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. We've been in the World House with Johnny Mack. See you guys on Monday, right here on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 15.